The next day finds Angie and Reed driving down the Big Sur coast, heading for Los Angeles and Reed's apartment in Venice Beach. She looks to her right at the ocean far below, where waves lap up against a rocky shore. Down there, a lone otter swims on its back while chomping on an abalone. Higher up, near the winding highway that the van is cautiously navigating, scrub oaks and sycamores cling precariously to the wind-swept shore. She turns left and looks at Reed, still trying to figure him out. Wonders if she made the right decision to travel with him. Or was she yet again acting impulsively, as when she jumped into his van and as when she joined the recording session? And she looks back at the built-in bed where they made love last night. It was so sweet and so intense and so inevitable after the recording session. The intimacy of that moment made everything before it seem like foreplay and made everything after seem like fate. But now, a few hours later, as the sun cuts through Big Sur's thick fog, Angie realizes she's in a car with a man whom she only just met. Yes, they communicated wonderfully yesterday in the recording session, making music and last night making love, but now, no matter how deeply she intuitively feels that she knows the guy, it's time to be practical, time to learn more about him. So, she begins, I've told you about myself, my time at Mills studying with Subotnick, my work at the free breakfast program, my days with Sly and the family. Now, what about you? What brought you from wherever you started to a weird recording session that you saved from a bunch of sloppy hippies? Reed chuckles. You, babe, saved that session. I just hitched a ride on your fast-moving freight train. She smiles. Okay, compliment accepted, but now, spill. Reed takes a deep breath, then launches into his story. I was a math major at UCLA on track to a career in my dad's company, tax preparation. Helping people avoid taxes, actually. Midway through my sophomore year, the week before semester finals, I decided to go to the Ren Faire. The what? The Renaissance Fair. You know, where people pretend like they're living like 400 years ago with jousts and pumpkin pants and funny pouches. It's news to me, but go on. Well, anyway, I went, and just to make sure I got the full vibe, I dropped a tab of acid as I walked through the entry arch, and then, boom, I got busted. Because of the acid? No, that was cool. I got busted because I wasn't in period costume. Nobody told me that you had to come dressed like you lived in the Renaissance. Oh, God! So there I was, spiraling into an acid trip, roped to a line of other screw-ups. They threw me in the goddamn stocks, wooden ankle cuffs, for a fucking hour. You poor, nutty kid. Then, after they let me loose, somebody gave me some Renaissance clothes, pointed me along a dusty trail, and said, "Proceed thee yonder." By now, I was really tripping. By the time I rounded the first bend, I had left the 20th century behind and was, in my mind anyway, in the honest-to-God Renaissance. Go on. First person I met was a girl. A fair damsel in a flowing white dress. A ring of flowers adorned her hair. She gave me an angelic smile, kissed me on the cheek, and went on her way. Then I was approached by a knight in shining armor on a giant steed. He wished me good day, sire, and doffed his helmet. Said he was in a hurry to compete in a joust. But get this, around the next bend I met the composer Josquin Dupre. Angie, not quite certain how to take this turn in the story, nonetheless plays along. Oh, I love Dupre. She remembers the composer from her Renaissance music course at Mills. We had an amazing conversation. Methinks thou art a musician, he began. Well, I don't know, I replied. I think I'm involved with numbers. Just so, he said, and went into this long but wonderfully clear riff on Pythagoras. That was a name I knew from geometry, the triangle and all that. But Dupre hipped me to Pythagoras' theories of musical intervals, how the overtones were all interconnected through harmonic relationships. And by the time Dupre bid me farewell and disappeared, music, which had been a hobby that I loved, had become my life's calling. In that moment, I went from an amateur to a wannabe professional. Andrew responds with a low whistle. Well, that's a story you don't hear every day. Didn't know I was riding with such a time traveler. But as for the amateur to professional riff, I imagine you know that an amateur is one who does it for love. It's what the word means. We don't want to lose that. Right on! It's a calling, don't you think? Or a practice like yoga or meditation. Totally agree. Anyway, long story short, I spiraled into music and out of college. I never got to my exams, barely got back to UCLA just long enough to grab my things. You dropped out of time? Reed ponders the question before venturing. It seemed like I dropped into time. Time became a different beast, less rigid, more open. Okay, but you were totally with me at that session yesterday when we were stressing the to and beat. You seem very precise. Yes, but when we reached that place where we were in the zone, you know where I mean, I forgot all about the to and beat and everything else. I've been there only a few times, but that's what I'm aiming for. That's why I'm a musician. Maybe I'm approaching a synthesis of my past two poles, precise time and open time. Synthesis. That's a word we used in the Panthers. Maybe you may be a Marxist after all.